What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone going through any of these things, this is the show for you. Shout out to our friends at NeuroGum for keeping us energized and focused throughout the show. NeuroGum is a chewing gum that has caffeine and nootropics in it. Helps keep me focused, energized, instead of reaching for another energy drink, even though I'm drinking one right now. I'll chew it whenever I'm driving around, showing houses, out with clients, whenever I just feel like I need a little boost before jiu-jitsu, before a workout. I like it all the time. So get out there and try some NeuroGum.
And then also shout out to our people over at Fit Flavors. Now through the end of May, using the promo code podcast50 will get you 50% off an online gift card. It is one per person, but I love their stuff. Got their food right here. This will be my lunch afterwards. Pop it in the microwave for a minute and a half and call it a day. It's great for tracking macros and staying consistent on a busy schedule.
I actually went there today and picked up a week's worth of meals. So we're ready to go for the whole week. And shout out to our friend Ashli Pollard. She has these awesome me journals. It's just kind of a journal to really kind of reflect on yourself, and you can kind of go through and take some notes on your day, talk about what you're grateful for. There's spots in here for, a to-do list, affirmation for the day, my word of the year and how I'm using it today. What promises did I make to myself? It's just a nice little journal to, and they smell great too.
Yeah. I love how she did that.
Yeah. And get on her website and check those out.
Yeah. She did a great job yesterday hosting or being the keynote speaker on everything and diving into a little bit more of the aspects. I know we didn't really get to cover that on the show, but that's what we're going to talk about today. We're excited to kind of dive into that social summit that we attended, and it was awesome to have our guy Murph on there and getting to hear him speak, as well as Matt Joe, who was a guest, as well as Ashli and some others. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of make today's episode just kind of reflecting, that social summit that we went to yesterday, and just kind of, what we took away from it. So Murph was one of the speakers on it. So, as a participant in it, how do you think it went? What are your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I said in my post I made last night that I've been really impressed with Keller Williams as far as how they invest in their community, and I consider myself a decent part of their community.
Oh yeah, you are.
Because obviously you and I have our relationship, but through you, I've met so many different realtors, and I've met so many different people who are just in the industry. And that's not a mark at anyone who you worked with before. It's just these people have brought me in and said hey, we want to invest in you. And I think that's really cool. And big shout out to Kat.
Oh man, she worked her ass off.
She is
that whole young professionals group. Yeah. Shout out to those guys.
Kat, Katie, Marissa.
But as far as what I thought was most important was I saw the gears start to turn in a lot of people's heads, and that as they were able to ask questions, and it was actually kind of cool because there was a guy, I think his name was Justin. He was one of the speakers as well, and he even had questions. Mm-hmm. And I was very impressed with the fact that he had the testicular fortitude to ask, "What's the best way to be controversial, Murph?" I'm just don't take it personally and don't make it personal. You got to make it about the topic and about the question at hand. Don't make it about people. So I like seeing the gears turn for people personally, and I like being able to help with that.
Yeah. It was great. I learned a lot. I'm trying to think what first. Your guys' panel with basically the three media guys was pretty awesome, just because you guys, all three, you guys had a great perspective on a lot of things. And, I think a lot of people there, are probably just kind of starting out on their journey with social media. You hear a lot of the questions that, it was what do I do to stay consistent? Or I heard that a couple times, or how do I get started? And it's just
do it.
Make that promise. That's what you and I just looked at each other like, well, just put it on the calendar and do it. It's
I will say our conglomerate of people towards the back, a little chatty.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
We all had opinions.
Sure.
And that's not to say that I agreed with everything that everyone said up there either. And that's with respect.
Right. But what's great about it is it shows that there's so many different ways that you can do this.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously not everybody's market or their demographic that they work with is going to be the same. So like the one guy from Florida, his is going to be different than the two that were from Chicago. And even the 2 in the Chicago were different than each, like, from one another. Similar, but different. But yeah, I mean, they both went about it in different ways, and all 3 of them are very successful at what they do. And then look at the agents that we have here that were there that use social effectively. I mean, you've got you and Gretchen, and then Kat.
Yeah.
You know, they're all doing it all 3 guys are doing it in a different way,
Very
and they're all
different,
very
yeah.
successful. But what's cool is, like Murph touched on, the Keller Williams Young Professional Group, and it's not just Keller Williams agents. You guys let anybody come in. That you guys have that abundance mentality that you're not afraid to share and help others grow. You guys want to see other people succeed, and that's awesome. You don't see that anywhere else. I mean, usually, you know, you've got people fighting and they want to keep their secrets. I know when I first got in the business, that's kind of how it was with the lending side. Like, oh, don't tell them what you're doing. I'm like, why?
Right.
You know?
Very similar to martial arts in that way. Like, you know, we're all going to get better together.
Mhm.
You know, there's no like secret technique that some person knows, or some real estate tactic that somebody knows. That it's like, no, it's all the same shit for the most part.
Right.
You know, maybe we do one thing a little different here or there, but yeah, that was one of the. I mean, that was the Keller Williams Young Professionals group is the reason I moved over to Keller Williams. You know, I was still with EXP, and they were all wanting me. You know, I kept getting the invites to all the events, and I kept showing up to them. And I was like, man, this is like a cool culture of people, and I really liked all the people there. And I was like, man, like, I mean, I was happy at EXP. I have no reason, I have nothing negative to say about it, other than the fact that they just didn't really have much of a community. There was there was nothing like the Keller Williams Young Professionals group within EXP. And here's the thing: is I could have stayed with EXP and just joined the group, but you know, I was like, I kind of want to go all in, and I'm just gonna join. I can't beat them, so I'm gonna join them, kind of thing.
And that kind of ties into my thoughts and feelings about some of the disagreements I had with some of the positions people took. And it's funny because one of the speakers got up there and he was talking about how he built his following. He goes, well, you want to make everyone your friend. And he's like, when you go to use a real estate agent, you want to be your friend first. And I thought about it. I'm like, no, I don't. I want to know he's good at what he does first. You and I started working together because I knew you were credible. I love you as a person, and you became my best friend like after that.
Right.
But you proved to me that you were good at what you did first. And that's why I referred my best friend to you, was because she was working with someone she really liked who couldn't get the job done. I can like you as much as I want to, but if you can't get the job done, and that's been true of me in the past too, two of the biggest things you need to be on social media is credible and relatable. And no one does a good job of it all the time. You guys are both very relatable people, but you're also very credible people. So when he said that, I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily true, because you can get the foot in the door with relatability, but if you aren't there to solve people's problems and do a good job of it, then your brand won't grow for the right reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I guess I missed him saying that, but now that I think about it, I use a similar kind of script, or like mindset, I should say, whenever I'm at an open house, for instance.
Sure.
Like, because that's what I've said since, you know, it was a tactic that the guy who mentored me told me whenever we were doing open houses, and he was kind of training me how to do open houses. And he's like, you know, man, you gotta think of yourself as a professional friend maker here, you know, but an open house is very different than social media. The different, you know, 2 different avenues. Like, someone's walking through that door, I'm not going to be automatically confrontational with them at an open house. But on social media, that's how you get people to, you know, that's how you get a lot of buzz around your page, whether people in that attracts more people that might not like it, but is also going to attract the people that do like it too.
Yeah.
So,
and I think I'm a great example of that, unfortunately.
100%.
And I think that was my main takeaway from my talking points last night. And they asked the question, he's like, so how do I inspire controversy? Because my main takeaway is like, dude, if you want to stand for something, you have to take a position. That doesn't mean you have to be polarizing. And it doesn't mean, I mean, you can be too, you know, but it's not about the polarity of it. It's about the position of it. When you take a position, it allows someone to argue against you, or it allows someone to agree with you. You don't want everyone to agree. What did I say? You're not tequila. Your job is not to make everyone happy. And in my case, you're not a big fat blunt sprinkled
Yeah.
with Kush. You know what I mean? But that's another story. I'll probably edit that out. Otherwise, I know that when in any industry you want to have that veneer of professionalism,
Mhm.
that can come off as very plastic and very unauthentic. And I think something that we've been able to do, especially with the podcast, is regardless of how great you guys are in your jobs, you've really let your personalities out.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't hide what you are on something like this.
We've said it before, at least not for this many episodes. We might be able to get away with it on one or two, but if we were able, we couldn't carry that on forever.
No, and nor would I want to.
No, not at all.
it makes the whole thing feel
Fake.
forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be hard. It'd be so much harder to get on here and fake what we are, who you are, what we are, how
Think
we
about the first talking head session you and I ever did to right now.
bro. Yeah, downstairs in that in what is now our playroom. Yeah. Yeah, we sat in that room and it was so echoey. When
The
you go back
acoustics were trash.
Yeah.
Man.
But what's his name? Ty, who was like, oh, the second I hear bad audio, swipe. Yeah.
He had some really good points too.
He did.
But,
Yeah.
but I think you are awesome examples of like what happens when you start and just stay consistent.
Do it.
Mhm.
Just do it.
Just do
Nike. Just
Yeah.
do it. You
Put on
know?
your Nikes and just do it. That's what my tattoo artist always tells me.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. Oh man. There's some people there that like you said, everybody's doing it really different. I really liked like Brandon Blankenship's Selling the Suburbs. I really like his page. I think that's really cool. Kind of how he highlights. I'm thinking about people, everybody's that I looked at and kind of what I took away, and I was like, ooh man, maybe I should do a little bit more of that, like highlighting the community.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool thing, just because St. Louis does have a ton of really great things going on. Like that's one thing I've noticed. Like Gretchen, I think Kat has done it a couple times too, where they'll like highlight a restaurant or a park or like something that is going on in the city. I definitely think I should do some more of that.
Well, just think of how like unique St. Louis is in terms of like we're just a giant melting pot.
Mhm.
Like all the different areas that we have. You've got like Cherokee Street where mostly the Latinos have moved to. You've got the Hill with the Italians, Dogtown with the Irish. Bevo was for Bosnians and
Germans.
Afton. For
Yeah, I mean,
Bosnians.
right. I mean, there's just so many.
Bayless.
Yeah, I mean,
Bayless,
there's just so many different areas that you can go to, and each area you could do a top 5 restaurants
Oh yeah.
in each little area because they're so unique to that culture. That I mean, it's great.
Couldn't agree more.
For Brandon especially, like one of his biggest strengths is one of the biggest things we talk about in copywriting, which is getting specific. And for a lot of people, it's trying to make everyone happy. Like casting a big net is good, but it's like, what are you casting a big net for? Because if you're trying to attract everybody, no. But if you want like a big demographic of certain people, yeah. And when you talk about, what was it, the western suburbs of Chicago?
Yeah, I think so.
Do I know shit about that? No. I know about the southern suburbs of St. Louis, though, and I could tell you a whole lot about that.
Right.
That speaks to a unique, specific person. And Chicago being as big as it is and that attracts so many different people that it does, like, he's found himself a really cool market there. There were a lot of cool people doing cool stuff. Seeing Seema up there was also really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. She
Like,
did a great job.
For me, and dude, like on her panel, I was like, the boss.
Yeah,
You're her.
for sure.
You're her. That's
Yeah.
her. That's my mentor right there.
Yeah.
And there's Matt sitting next to me. That's my mentor too, dog. That was so cool for me because I'm like, well, the people who taught me the why and the how behind this, I'm on the same panel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's got to feel good.
I want to do more of that more than anything else. Like I mentioned in my post yesterday that public speaking, most people hate public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are scared to shit of it. I fucking love it.
It's an adrenaline rush.
For me, it's not.
No,
For me, it's I see it as the opportunity because most people like hate giving speeches. They hate giving public seminars or doing verbal reports of anything. Like my one gift, the one thing I'm good at naturally is talking.
Most people, like, I think that's like the number one like
Fear.
fear is public speaking. And you guys know why that is?
Because it exposes you.
Well, the theory is that when we were in like tribes of people, anytime that you were a single person standing in front of the tribe, being singled out like that, it was generally because you were in trouble because you were getting like executed or exiled. And that's the theory why most people are scared of public speaking.
For me personally, I'm like, when I was in trouble, I would try to hide. So like if I was hidden, I'd feel guilty.
Well, when they find you, you know,
but
you're in front of everybody. Like that's the whole.
Yeah, but then the chase is over.
I also think the imposter syndrome that we talked about yesterday plays a role into that too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. On the couple times that I've spoken in front of people, on panels similar to that, I think twice now, and both times I do it, I'm like, you guys want me, really? Yeah, there's a little imposter syndrome there. Like me, that's all. Like,
This is my representative Murph. Any questions I don't feel like answering, he will
Yeah.
definitely take for
No,
me.
100%. Yeah, it's just it's something you gotta. It's a weird feeling for sure, and I'm sure you kind of felt that similar way. You know, at least maybe he did. Maybe
Up
he
there,
didn't.
no, I felt within my own right, because once you know who you are and what you're capable of, it doesn't really matter what the opinions of other people are. Like there are some people there that I know don't like me too, and I'm not going to name names. It doesn't matter to me. But that's the thing. I don't need everyone to like me. I don't need everyone to approve of my message. I don't need everyone to like the way that I brand or the way that I carry
Right.
myself, because I'm getting those opportunities because I know who I am and because I have been proven to show real value to people. And of course, like without Kat coming on the podcast, that wouldn't have happened. But Kat, who is someone who I actually look up to now, who you two introduced me to.
Oh yeah,
You
she's a
guys,
boss.
we are fruits of the labor of what happens when you make a plan and you stick to it. When everyone's inspired, and look, we have hiccups. I fuck things up a lot, but that's what gives me the confidence to do those things. And it's also so I can inspire someone who's in the audience. Because, bro, like getting the question of like, how do you deal with wait, that was someone else who was on the podcast. I'm not going to do the voice then, because that makes it sound like I'm making fun of him, because I'm not. And also, your mustache looks great. You know who you are. But he was like, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? And like, I have a saying. It's neither an imposter nor a perfectionist be. And you've read The War of Art, correct?
Mhm.
Have you?
I'm not.
You
Good one.
need to.
Yeah.
It would probably teach you a lot of the same things that are in
I got
that
a
book.
copy downstairs. I'll give it.
And it's a very easy read. You can get through 10 pages in like 15 minutes.
Okay.
And so the idea of it is like both of those are agents of resistance, which is basically just like procrastination. It's like, oh, well, I could do it, but there's this. And, oh, you know, it's like I would hit legs, but it's the vernal equinox. So I just can't do it today.
Mm.
Those are all little things that we like to tell ourselves because it saves us the ego death and the pain of understanding that we're not good at something when we first begin. Like, dude, I had no idea that I'd be doing this shit. My contemporary in it was Matt Joe. He's fucking 50 times the media creator than I am. That doesn't mean that I can't get better.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that like he can't take things from me too. And, you know, splitting off from First Form, I'm like, do I really have the balls to do this?
Yeah, you do.
Apparently, testicular fortitude, up 100 and nothing.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome, man.
No, it's so cool to see where you know how far you've come in like the last year and a half, really. I mean,
Well, I mean, it also
So
helps
cool.
too when you're passionate about something.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to go up there and speak to something that I'm not passionate about. Like I wouldn't have been able to get up on that stage and speak to social media. Like I know how it's affected me and what I've done, but ultimately, like that's not something that I would feel comfortable getting on stage. Now, put me on stage to talk about mortgages
baseball.
or baseball, or like coaching baseball. Like I'll ramble on for hours
Right.
on
The
that.
same way.
You know, you'd have to take the microphone from me at that point. Like but like, again, those are things that I'm passionate about. So, you know, it was awesome to see like how many people and that we did, or that they got all those people that were super passionate about what they did. And every speaker that was there was great. So,
Yeah, it was. It really was. I mean, it was cool to see Ashli, come in there and not, she said it several times, she's not super, privy to the world of real estate, but like everything that she said, I definitely think applies, and we can definitely
Absolutely.
apply to our industry.
yeah.
In all those cases, whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgages, whether it's content creation, whether it's social media management, all the amazing things that Ashli is world class at, which I appreciate her humility, but she's really good at what she fucking does.
Yeah.
It hits the big trifecta of, are you good at it? Do you like to do it? And will people pay you for it? Oftentimes, if you don't have all three of those, the passion for it runs out. The purpose for it runs out more than anything else. So it wasn't that I was inherently good with a camera. It's that I'm a good storyteller. I learned how to use a camera to the point where I was skillful with it. And then, I mean, it was a shot in the dark, but like it was Mark and Matt actually, which is so cool because all him, Matt, Mark, and Seema, like without those three especially, I would definitely not be doing this. They, especially those two, the brothers, they were like, look, man, we understand you have a job. You love your job. We've both worked there. But the minute you start getting offered to get paid, you need to do something professional with it because you have a talent. Now, you need to work to turn it into a skill. And what I also love about those two is that they have no shyness of like critiquing. I need it. Like you guys can critique me as you have, and I need that because otherwise I think I'm perfect. But then like literally the next day or within a week, someone was like, hey, will you shoot something for me? And it was a person with like a following of like 150,000 people who offered to pay me, but I just said, just tip me. Whatever 30% of what you think you would pay for this is. Pay $30. That was the sign that said, go get professionalized. I became good, better at it. I love doing it. People started paying me. Build that momentum off those 3 things. You can go for a long fucking time. I mean, in baseball, what would you say that's appropriate?
What?
When you're good at it, you like to do it, and you get paid for it. That's usually when people find that lane and stay to it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to get paid for baseball.
Of course.
And even when you're in the minor leagues, you're still not really getting paid. I mean, it's different now. But, they dangle that carrot in your face of money that could be made from it. But honestly, like I said, I've always had that drive. Like, I want to be the best at whatever I'm like going after. And that was baseball at the time. And I had a passion. I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with what it was that I needed to do to get better. And I was getting better. I think that's another aspect of it. Like if you're pushing and pushing and pushing and you're not getting better, then that's going to pull back on your passion for it. But it's very rare when you're putting in the work that you're not going to get better at something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was constantly seeing these improvements, and I was constantly, and then you throw it into competition against other people and you're just dominating them. That's really fucking fun. Like standing on the mound and knowing that you're going to own who's ever in the batter's box and having that, like, it's awesome. There's no like high. Like it's awesome, especially like in certain roles, like as a closer or the end of the game, like you're on the line and the game's on the line and you got to get these 3 outs and no one can score.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, yeah.
No, I like that. No, I like that account because I've never thought of baseball in those complex of terms. And that's probably not even that complex, but it's like, okay, that inspires me to learn more about it because obviously when the Cardinals are doing good, especially when it's playoff season, we're all watching. But then I'm a normie casual who's like, baseball.
Yeah,
it's long season, bro.
Yeah, from what I hear, it's not going so well right now.
No, but that's the thing though, is like every game, it may not seem like it because there's so many games in a season, but they all matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at it. Like, how many times does it come to the end of the season where you're like a half a game back?
You don't have $1 unless you have 100 pennies.
Right. And so exactly, like you have to get to, you have to play every single game. And yeah, that's why baseball is so mentally, it's like such a mental sport because you're playing every single day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And at that level and that pressure, like it's insane. Like to be able, like those guys are on a whole nother level mentally.
It's wild considering like the 2 sports that I follow the most are MMA and football. And in MMA, I follow way more than I will follow football. Then I used to be way more into the NFL than I am now.
I think most of us.
Yeah, and I used to, I still have a fantasy team every year, and it's more of just like keeps me in touch with my friends, and I still do it because of that. But both of those sports, football, you're playing 16 games a year, right, and plus playoffs, and then fighting. If you're fighting 3 times a year, that's a lot.
Yeah.
With baseball, playing how many games a year?
62.
That's
nuts.
Almost double the NBA season.
Yeah,
3 more games, and
not as long.
No,
it's from April through through September.
Yeah,
was that 6 months?
Yeah, baseball season really does seem to go very fast. The NBA starts usually Halloween and ends like the first week of June or some shit. But even then, like dude, we might get off on a tangent here, but I think that's a big reason even like why we stopped paying attention to those sports because it became less about seeing someone work hard for something in a story that you believed in, and it became more like being sold something. There's just too much advertising in big sports these days, and unfortunately, I think that's like what a big piece of social media is as well. What I love about what we do when we talk about the things that are on this show, Neurogum, Bit Flavors, Ashli's Journals is a new one. Those are all things that we really truly love, and we don't get back for that.
No, it's just stuff we use.
Yeah,
and what's so cool is like the people who've been watching this show from its inception or from the midway point, whenever we started getting these things on the table, you know, they're going to see the fact that like that's authentic and it's genuine, it's credible and it's relatable. And when you talk about what you love about it, that's what good social media is. That's what good sports are. It's a journey. It's a story. And most people want to expedite that to get fucking paid, man. And it's like, no, we don't get paid from this. We help our friends raise their awareness in the community because they have a good product. I love NeuroGum.
Yeah, I do too.
If I don't fucking have an energy drink or a coffee, I'm reaching for that.
Right.
And if it's past 4 o'clock and I'm gonna be up till 4 a.m., I'm reaching for that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? Last night, I was reaching for that.
Well, it's the same with our guests that we have on. I mean, it's not like, you know, we're bringing them on here to promote what it is that they do because we feel like they have interesting stories to tell, but they're also, one, good people, and two, they're doing something that people can benefit from and by knowing them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that
just giving them an opportunity for like a long form, you know, discussion. Cause like in an hour long like interview session where we're just hanging out here talking, you can learn a lot about somebody.
oh, absolutely.
You know, like it's crazy because you know, like we had Uzo on the other day, and I've known Uzo now for a couple of years probably, but like I didn't really know his whole story like that. You know, it was really cool to like get that. Now, every time I see him at the gym, I'm gonna think, you know, it's gonna change my opinion, you know, my opinions and thoughts. I was like, oh, man, he's done a fucking lot of shit, man. He was a FBI special agent, then he was a police officer, FBI. You know, he's done a bunch of cool things. I mean, what he's done with his YouTube, but yeah, it just changes. It changes kind of what you think about people, and it's really cool.
It all goes back to the power of social media and us being able to a platform for us to put all this stuff on.
It's just fun.
Were you surprised when I answered that question with TikTok? They were like,
yes,
hey, if you had to like double down on a platform like today, you had to like get the word out, what would you do?
Now, why would you do that if considering it's supposedly going to be gone in a year?
Because I don't think it's going to.
You don't think?
I think Rumble is probably going to buy it, and Rumble's very big on freedom of speech. But I mean, dude, and I'm not going to get too political here. Don't worry. But like, okay, Joe Biden just signed the bill that not only sends money to Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel. Within that is the TikTok ban. Well, the TikTok ban doesn't go into effect for another year.
It's January 2025.
Some shit. I don't. It's all.
That's what I.
It's all bullshit. And it's bad for you. But someday, apparently, a year from now. But you know who has publicly endorsed the fact that he's going to still be campaigning on TikTok? Joe Byron. So, for me, I look at the opportunity of it, and quite honestly, like if there's any one platform everyone should be investing in, it is long form video, because that can be the catalyst for all your short form content, and that can trickle down. But the thing that I do really like about TikTok, I just don't use it because most of the users who are native to it are not of my predilection, if you will. The open algorithm thing is great. The fact that you can post 5 times a day, and as long as you keep it somewhere within the same tangent, you will build your audience. And their monetization policies are actually pretty decent, even with the political crap. But when you look at Instagram, which I do use mostly, you look at the meta platforms, even the ones that are owned by Google, like YouTube, there's just a lot there that's still, even though they're fine on a domestic level, some of the capabilities you have with TikTok are so much better. And that open algorithm, like where you don't have to change your approach to it every 15 seconds. Like now the thing is on Instagram, oh, well, just make your reel 5 seconds and say read caption. That way you get a lot of extra plays. And like, it doesn't matter really what the content creation shouldn't be that hard, guys. Here's me spinning my spoon in my coffee, read caption. Like,
hate that shit, dude.
That's not the point of video content, you Pop-Tarts. Like, I personally do believe that if you're going to make video content, if you're going to take the time to record yourself, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, I don't give a fuck. The goal should be to actually give value to people, not to sit here and trick them into watching you get a whole bunch of replays so they can read your fucking caption.
Well, I think that's where things have changed. It's not, it's like we talked about. Excuse me.
You're good.
Entertain, educate, and inspire.
Thank you.
You know, we kept touching on that yesterday. I think there's 3 or 4 people that mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think the educate part and the inspire part, that's what they're trying to remove by shortening these videos. It's just straight entertainment. Like I don't think I think that's all they're wanting.
I disagree with you there. I think they're trying to educate, but I think they're just trying to capitalize on it being a short video so it gets a ton of views. because like whenever you say see caption, makes you like scroll down and it's usually a long
Right.
long captions, and of course that video is only 3 seconds long, so it just keeps playing and playing and playing and playing and playing while you're reading. And so I mean, I don't know. It's not. I feel like anytime I'm looking at it, it's more of an entertain and an educate thing versus an entertain thing. At least in my experience. I don't know.
Yeah, a
Just
lot of
to
the stuff
push
that I've
back
seen
on
is
that a
almost
little
like Vine type stuff coming back. Like those real
If
short.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I get like shit. Well, mine's always a lot of realtors, and it might be them like opening up the door or like them like walking through a hallway, and it's just like that thing just keeps playing and show you 5 different ways that can help you grow your social media following and see caption. And it's like
Yeah.
you're sitting there reading it, and it's
I would be more inclined to agree with Zach on this, but it's not that you're wrong.
Mhm.
It's that the value isn't in what the vehicle is anymore. The vehicle is just there to deliver you to the caption. Most people don't even have that long of an attention span. And the people who create this kind of content, they typically know that. And it's like, okay, if I write some big ass caption, I could tag you both in it. Yeah, you two might read it. If I have a good hook and you're both involved in the content,
sure.
most people don't fucking care.
I know.
Yeah.
Most people don't fucking care. And so if it's like your favorite creator on an Instagram and they're pulling this kind of shit, they kind of just get like the leeway to get your engagement and all that stuff because you want to support them no matter what. But it's like, are you doing this to go viral and get engagement, or is it because you want to offer value to your audience? My man Bobby Sauce, who I love to fucking death, I love him so much for this reason, and he's more of a man in content creation than I am, because even though Instagram diminishes all political content's reach, like you can still choose to be exposed to it, but like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. This man has 100 and like 30,000 followers. And even though they are tearing away his engagement, even though they are diminishing the views and the reach, and he doesn't care. He will go out there and he will make a 5-minute reel. I'm talking 5-minute vertical content talking his shit. And it might get 1,000 views. He didn't care. He's remaining integral to his audience. Like the stuff that dropped today with Harvey Weinstein, I want to go back to doing political talking heads because that pisses me off so much. Is that the direction I want to go still? That's a decision I got to make. And I actually really admire all the people who said that they were rebranding. That's hard to admit.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said you kind of are too. I mean, you really have been with, I guess now it sounds like you might be going back to your political content, but a rebrand.
It's like
Throwback.
Well, okay, so that's a big thing too, is like when we talk about controversy, I made this, I've talked about Donald Trump exclusively like on my page maybe 4 times last 7 years. Why do you think I limited that?
Because you didn't want to get your
Pigeonholed
growth.
into that.
Yeah, you didn't. Well, and you didn't want your growth to be stunted. Maybe.
That might have been like my first order thinking, maybe like last election, but no. The truth is that it's too easy of a topic. If you want to grow on social media and you want to do it the cheap, fast, easy way, like methamphetamine fueled growth, talk about stuff that just pisses people off. Be someone who just pisses people off for the wrong reasons. You can get up on, so there's this kid named Harry. I'm not even gonna give his last name any. He's an NYU student that gets paid by the DNC as an influencer, the Democrat Party. And literally he has built a following on TikTok and Instagram and all these other places, Twitter, X, whatever you fucking want to call it. And it's just because he screams into his phone about Donald Trump like 4 times a day. This little dude, 21 years old, can't even grow a beard, getting paid by the DNC. And he knows his formula. Oh, I'm an NYU Gen Xer. Donald Trump's ruining the country. He doesn't actually have any good reasons. He's just using clickbait titles and all the general broad overviews. And he gets a lot of growth from that. But it's like, dude, that's not the good way of doing it. That's the cheap, easy way. That's meth. It's a really fast high. But whenever something is inconvenient to your narrative, or whenever the system doesn't need you anymore, they'll fucking get rid of you. And then what? All you've done is cornered yourself into this hole of like, oh, well, all I can talk about is Donald Trump. Dude might have 4 more years left in the public eye. Then what?
Right. What do you do then?
CNN, MSNBC, these places don't have ratings unless he is like their point of topic. Like, is that because we all want to talk about Donald Trump? Or is that because unless you have something to sensationalize people over, you don't have a story? I don't want to be that. Like, I don't want to play a character of myself. I want my content to like be a profile of my life and how I live it. Kind of like a cinematic vlog in a lot of ways. But it's just so hard, man, because when you feel purposeful, when you feel like you're called to do something, like you're good at it. Fuck, like where does that leave you? That's why the rebrand. I appreciate a lot of those people who are like, no, I'm in the middle of figuring out who I am on my social media. Because dude, I don't have everything figured out. I have 40 posts on my page, and most of them are not what got me my following.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you look at the, because that's crazy when you think about, like, when you say that, because look at your, like, following, you look at mine, and you look how many posts you have, you look, it just, everybody does it so differently. Like, I have probably over 1,000 posts at this point.
You do.
Yeah. And, I'm at a tenth of the followers, it's just not on the amount of posts. It's just crazy how it changes for everybody.
Well, that's also why I told you, like, originally, and I think we've all had this conversation. It always goes back to that story about, like, I could sell it. I could do this 2-top over here and get this $5 on this 25, or like I can close this house and get $2,500. Oh, Murph, I don't want to sound like an asshole or I'm like greedy or anything.
Right.
I'm like, no, you're winning. Like, rub it in people's faces. It's okay.
Right. You're right.
The
Yeah, that one got a lot of action. And I noticed whenever we talk about rental properties and like money coming in and stuff like that, and you actually use real numbers, people like that shit.
Yeah.
So,
I've gotten a lot of traction on the divorce talk and relationship with my ex-wife. I think it's really, I guess it's, I have a lot of people that come up to me like, oh my God, that's so great. I'm like, it's just sad that that's not the norm.
no, 100%.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But I have a lot of respect for you for that.
Yeah.
Look, bro, one of the things you and I first ever sat down and talked about in private, like when you first introduced us, where we talked about your divorce and my recent breakup. We were
at Omen.
Relatable and credible immediately. I was like, I like this fucking guy. I'm excited to work with him. But it was because he was willing to touch a topic that, especially in like the red pill community, the whatever community, I don't even know what kind of masculinity to call it anymore. They hear your account and they would probably say something sassy about that. And it's like, dude, you have a great relationship with the mother of your children. You're able to go on vacations together. Whenever it comes to spending time with your kids understand that. Social media will tell you that one of you is wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why is that the world we live in? That's why I get away from the politics so much. Like, still talk about tough topics though. Don't ever stop doing that.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I think it's great. I love being a person that as an example for people to talk, that I can talk about it. It happened afterwards, after the thing yesterday. We went back to Amy's house and there was an agent there that had gone through something similar. And she was just like, I'm jealous. I wish I was able to do that and have that. It's like, yeah, it just takes both parties to be willing to step up to the plate and work through it and put your egos aside. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing is like, I've always been someone to keep my ego in check. Like I knew that. I mean, you learn that again. It all comes back to baseball. You learn that early on. Like even though it's as great as it is to be up there and dominating, but at the same time, you're going to come across guys more often than not that are more dominating than you are and can hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And it checks your ego real quick.
100%.
Jiu-jitsu.
I was gonna say,
right.
Well, that's one thing real quick. You're never if you're the toughest guy in the room, you're probably at the wrong gym.
I'm definitely not the toughest guy.
Me either.
I get whooped on by dudes half my size, and I fucking know my place.
Yeah, I get whooped on by plenty of people there too. So it is what it is. It's part of it.
I'm pumped to get my ass kicked.
Yeah, Pat's gonna be coming to the gym.
Hockey's
here
over
soon.
with. Let's go.
Let's get this boy a gi.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the no-gis that I've been going to. They've been fun.
Yeah. Which one have you been going to?
I went to Kyle's
Monday, Wednesday.
Monday was fire.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, I need to make it to one of his no-gi. I haven't been since he started teaching those again.
Did you guys have any questions that weren't answered by the event yesterday?
Well, I guess one question I do have would be, and I don't really exactly know what answer I'm looking for, but because I'm just curious about how, and I know we're a ways away from that, but how does the monetization work? Like at what level does that come on? How are you paid? Are you paid on views? Are you paid on likes? Are you paid on I have no idea how that works.
So specifically with YouTube?
Yeah, I would say YouTube, and I guess I know that you can monetize your Instagram too, right? No.
Back when Meta had money.
Okay. So no,
Not anymore.
that's not a thing anymore.
No,
TikTok's the way to go now for monetization.
For what we do, you guys could probably make most money on TikTok because we don't really touch a whole lot of subjects that they're weird about. So personally, I would say that like Bobby has told me a lot of things that like, hey, he makes a pretty good income on TikTok. And that's even with touching the topics that he does, which are mostly political and, kind of sensitive. But that and YouTube, it's once you have a certain amount of subscribers and views, or at least watch hours, that's usually when you can start getting paid. Now, when it comes to like how many views you have to have on their shorts, you have to have in the millions. That's okay. But those rack up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was
actually.
gonna say we got a couple with like 7.
I think we just got our highest one.
No,
No,
I think we have one that's over 1,000.
we do. We have one
Yeah.
that's over 1,000. This last one's got like 750 or some shit.
Something like that.
With YouTube, they want to keep people on the platform. And then from there, it's either they will give you ad revenue or a certain amount of money like per views. But it's really when the companies start advertising on your space, when you've proven to them like, hey, our watch duration is over a certain amount of minutes per video. We're exceeding, and we have no problem with this, but it's like they want to see videos be monetized that are at least like 8 to 10 minutes long. Okay, well, we have no fucking problem doing that because all of our videos are like
Right.
an hour.
Right.
So you just really got to get enough people watching your shit. And outside of that, you just have to kind of like prove to YouTube once you've hit their qualifications that is a page where they can send advertisers. And that's how you start getting paid. And I mean, that's one of the things that Uzo and I started talking about. Like, he goes, bro, like, I'm only got like 5,000 subscribers on this page, but like it's monetized. And that's pretty cool. The fact that it's profitable. Again, he's doing something that he likes to do, that he's good at, that people will pay him for.
Yeah, he's very good at it. I love his videos. They're really good. And it's cool that you're going to be starting to help him out with that.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, his stuff's really good.
But ultimately, the overall answer to your question is like, just continue doing what we're doing. Put out consistent content that's valuable, that really does hit a certain target demographic of people. We're talking to everybody. We're talking to nobody. It's why I'm so glad that like I get to learn from you guys. Something that I don't even do yet, which is fatherhood, being a spouse. And that's a really good target audience that people hit. In closing, at least on my part, use your social media platforms for good, everybody. The world is full of enough gotcha moments and pranks and fights and watch this person get served justice and petty shit. And the world needs you to be honest and real and forthwith and to stand for fucking something. And that's probably the Andy Frisella student speaking at me. But I mean, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And our platforms and our agency to speak and present ourselves how we want to, we need to use that for a higher purpose. I have not always done a good job of that. But the older I get, the more I see that if this is the future, we have to take care of it. Because if we don't, no one else will.
Well said.
That's a great way to end it, I think.
Well, I was going
to
to ask.
Add to it.
Which I feel like, because I had a couple people that were like talking about it, didn't really ask. I'm glad they went into the difference between like what you post on a story, what do you post as a reel, what do you post, what do you just post. But I had a couple overheard a couple people like, how many times are you supposed to post? Like, how often should you post? Like, what does consistent mean? Is there a set number of posts that you should add to your story, or any, like things that you should add to your story to keep it relevant? Like actual amount of times you post. I mean, I was always, for me, it's posting the story a couple times a day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then for like actual posts, like, a few times a week.
Yeah.
So is there a set number, or is there a better number, or is it just kind of what you feel?
It is going to be what is ever best for you. It's an it depends answer. And when I was coaching salespeople to build like their fitness brands, we would try to give them the averages of like, hey, you should be posting on your feed 3 to 5 times a week, enough to be on people's minds, but not overwhelm them. And I was a really bad example of this because at the time I was posting maybe multiple reels every day, but I was growing a crazy amount and I was just having fun with it. So shit. And then 3 to 5 times a day on your story. And both of them should be geared towards that you're trying to talk to. What is the end you're trying to reach? So let's just say, let's say you have a coaching business and you want to reach overworked moms over 40 who can't make it to the gym in time. You need to be showing them like, hey, I have the results. I've helped the kind of people you want to help. And here's like the more general knowledge that maybe you could find for free on the internet, but like I'm someone you know and trust. You could break that up into 3 to 5 posts a week. And then on your story, you're kind of doing the same thing, but at a micro level. And what I would recommend for someone who was in that kind of position where they're trying to brand themselves You should be talking to your audience once a day on your story. This can be through like talking into the camera or just by texting type onto the screen, whatever works. Just the person wants to feel recognized. And then industry specific things and something personal. Usually like 3 industry specific things and like 1 personal thing. So for you guys, it could be hanging out with your kids, helping a client with a mortgage, or like showing, yo, I just made this really cool fucking thing happen. I love helping my people. Maybe showing a message from a satisfied client or an open house or a meeting you're in. It could be anything, but it's just sprinkling in the topics of your day in a subtle yet direct way. It's like, I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to know what I do. If there was a right number, I would tell it to you. But like at the same time, not everyone has someone creating content for them. They have to do everything. If you can make 1 good post a week where you're truly helping someone, you're truly talking to people, then don't worry about making 4 or 5 little posts because you want to check a box. More is not always more. More is not always better. Better is better. I might post 1 or 2 times a week right now. I might not post at fucking all, as we mentioned the last time I sat in this seat. But I will post to my story almost every single day. I will do comments every single day. It's just about the quality of what you do. Don't ever get wrapped up in quantity. If you feel like you've made 3 good posts this week, good. If you want to try to make a 4th, it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can say, I effectively brought value to my audience that many times and that consistently, that's just going to compound, dude. It's just going to fucking compound, man. And the more you give, the more you will ultimately get. But it always has to be with the right intent and the right kind of consistent effort to produce the kind of result you're after.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a good spot for us to wrap it up. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Well done. Murph, caffeinated as fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Well, thanks, Murph. That was good. Just kind of brought everything home that we learned yesterday. And
thanks, KWYP Young Professional Group.
Yeah.
You guys did awesome.
Yeah, thanks KWYP. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everybody that helped. It was an awesome event. Looking forward to, future events. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Hit that like button. Comment what you guys thought down below, and we will see you next time.
We out.